Ah, The Last of Us, a game that has captured the hearts of millions and given inspiration to many more games. Written by Neil Druckmann and developed by Naughty Dog Studio, this game made a revolutionary change in the way video games are told and played. Nearly a decade after the release of the game, HBO has brought us a film adaptation of this iconic story. At first, many were skeptical, thinking that this would be another video game adaptation gone down the drain, ruined by these big studios who had no care for the original sources. They said that the story was already perfect and that making a live action series would ruin or harm the already seemingly perfect story from the games. Craig Mazin, the director of the series, took on this challenge though and produced a work of art that rivals the video games. For this video, I will only be covering the series, but will use some scenes from the game to make comparisons. And of course, there will be spoilers ahead, so if you haven't seen the series yet, go watch it first, and then come back to this video. Alright, let's begin. The first thing I want to talk about is the characters. Craig Mazin made sure to keep the characters we love as close to their original state as possible. Craig even went as far as to add more details, with the help of Neil, of course, that we haven't seen from the games. Every character feels unique with their own set of goals and morals. Joel, who's played by Pedro Pascal, is an individual who, after losing his daughter on the day of the outbreak, has closed up and doesn't like mentioning the past. He is so torn up about the loss of his daughter that he promises himself to never get attached to anyone again. When he meets Ellie, however, who's played by Bella Ramsey, he sees his daughter in Ellie, and that's why he's sort of mean to her at first. He's scared that if he gets too soft, he will care for her too much, and he might lose someone else important to him. As the story progresses, though, we see this exact thing happen, and when he has to choose between dealing with another loss or saving humanity, he chooses to save the one person he cares about most, that person being Ellie. There is not one character that is bland, and it's obvious that the directors knew what they wanted to do for this live-action series. This, however, leads to some faulty writing, and where realism sort of flies out the window for a bit. I'm talking about the character logic here. There are moments in the series where some characters make questionable decisions that in the real world would have come with severe consequences. One example of this is when Marlene, played by Merle Dandridge, the leader of a group called the Fireflies, hands over Ellie to Joel and Tess, played by Anna Torv. Marlene knows that Ellie is the key to saving humanity, and she is immune to the infection, yet she doesn't once mention that Ellie's infected to Joel. Why on earth would she not tell Joel about this, knowing well that Joel isn't the type to sit down and think about the finer details? If Ellie were really that important, Marlene would not have risked Ellie being killed by Joel the moment he found out she was infected. This is one of the few examples that's me scratching my head, but while watching, it's something that can kind of get brushed off to the side. Besides the faulty character logic sprinkled around the show, the directors did an amazing job sticking to a realistic point of view. Everything done by the characters is 100% possible. The characters don't have any plot armor, except maybe Joel, but the situations they are in are reasonable and plausible. The directors even went as far as to change some of the original story from the games to make it more realistic. In the game, the infectious cordyceps can also spread through spores, whereas in the series, there are no spores. In the beginning of the first episode, we are told how the cordyceps came to be, and it is by far the most realistic and most well-explained explanation for a zombie outbreak. Something done right. The music and score in this series is impeccable, straight from the game. The theme song plays throughout the show, during moments of rest or moments of unsurety. The music takes on a genre of old-school campfire songs. It imitates the life of the survivors, who have no technology and are stuck with old-school instruments. The guitar at the intro slowly building us up, and then the addition of the rest of the instruments creates a beautiful full circle moment that leaves the audience at ease. The music takes on a genre of old-school campfire songs. It imitates the life of the survivors, who have no technology and are stuck with old-school instruments. The guitar at the intro slowly building us up, and then the addition of the rest of the instruments creates a beautiful full circle moment that leaves the audience at ease. the great music comes the addition of the emotional moments in the series. From Joel's unfathomable journey to minor characters' backstories, this show is always ready to gut punch you with emotional scenes that will have you thinking about them for years to come. One of the many examples of this is at the start of the show, in episode 1, where we witness Joel's daughter, Sarah, played by Nico Parker, tragically die after the infection has spread. Not only do we become emotionally attached to Sarah, but we witness the loss of a child that, for a second, you think is yours. Another moment is in episode 5, where we are introduced to two new characters, Henry and Sam, played by Lamar Johnson and Kevin Woodard. Henry wants to escape a corrupt town with his little brother who is deaf and has leukemia. We get to witness these two's close connection and know how close they are. They are the only two who can trust each other. We also see Ellie's connection with Sam, and we see them playing like kids do. And in a world where there is no time to goof off, seeing this adds more meaning to their connection. However, during the end of the episode, Sam has been bitten after surviving a massive horde of infected. And we see a vulnerable moment between him and Ellie, where she tries to cure him with her blood. He sadly turns, and Henry is forced to shoot and kill him. We see Henry, whose whole purpose in life was to help and protect his little brother, instantly kill him without thinking twice, is gut-wrenching. And when he realizes what he's done and kills himself, it leaves the audience feeling hopeless and ruined. The Last of Us is a series I was skeptical about at first, wondering if it would ever amount to the video games. But after watching the series, it left me emotional and satisfied. This series complemented the video games and feels like something the directors actually cared about, instead of feeling like they used this series as a cash grab. This masterpiece deserves a 9.6 out of 10 for its incredible and compelling storytelling, and left me wanting more.